Hello, thanks so much for joining us for this short question and answer session about the UVA in London Global Internships Program. Chloe Edwards is here to talk about her 8-week experience in the UK. And Chloe is a fourth-year public policy and leadership major in Baton. And Chloe, thank you so much for being available and willing and excited to share your thoughts about what it was all like. So my first question for you is, what drew you to apply for the UVA in London Global Internships Program?
Just previously, I had the opportunity to go to Vietnam to study abroad for J-term with UVA, and it was a wonderful experience. I felt that I got to immerse myself in a culture that I knew almost absolutely nothing about prior. So when I saw that the Global Internships program was available and that they had one in London specifically, I just thought it would be a really cool opportunity and it would be a contrast to the previous experience I had. And I liked that it was a longer program, that we would have the opportunity to take both courses and have an internship over the summer, which is like super important as you move on and apply to other stages of life. And I just wanted the opportunity kind of to study in an area that was similar to the US, but still had its own rich culture and like differences as well. So, yeah.
Well, what did you find most fascinating about living in the global city of London? I'm sure it's hard to choose one thing or
Yeah.
two.
Everything, I loved everything, honestly, but something that was super great was their public transportation. Like I felt that everything was super accessible to us, and I just like that the program kind of encouraged us to explore. Like we saw different sites, such as like Big Ben, and we also got to have a tour of Parliament with our professor, which was super interesting. And I don't know, I felt really safe, and I liked the fact that I could, hop on the tube and travel to Chelsea, travel to different areas, and I guess kind of immerse myself in a bunch of different cultures that I didn't know that London had. I tried different foods that I had never had before. I got to know different people, even in my internship. I met other students that actually study in London, so now I think that that also, I guess, made me a more well-rounded person as well. And yeah, just there was so much opportunity there, which I'm really grateful for.
Chloe, how would you describe your relationship with your supervisors and your colleagues in your internship?
I would say it's a really great relationship. Honestly, I've missed them so much that I do call them weekly. Um, it's been great keeping up with everybody, and my supervisors were always really understanding of if I ever had anything going on. Um, the workload was really manageable, and I think there was like a great sense of communication between my supervisors and I and my other coworkers. Like I think we all supported each other really well. And it was a really good learning environment too, just especially because I intend to go to law school and I got placed in an internship in the legal department. And we worked on immigration, asylum, housing, and welfare benefit cases. So the programs in the UK are clearly very different than in the US, but it was really interesting navigating that. They took their time with me, and I think it even helped me on my own personal research as well, getting to like see how different systems are set up in the UK for like welfare programs versus the US. So I'd say it was a really good relationship.
Um, well, so often being abroad can give us another perspective on the identities that we feel we hold. So just wondering how, if at all, would you say over the 8 weeks, your understanding of your identities maybe shifted or was strengthened or changed?
Um, I think that I definitely like grew since being in London just because I feel like sometimes if you're still in the US and maybe you've never had the opportunity or you've never decided to leave, um like I guess, everyone um here like I guess shares some sort of like, oh, like we're American, we're in America, it's great. But in London, I think like I definitely learned how not to assume, which I think was really beneficial for me. being that now like I was someone who was different and like growing up African American, like I did constantly kind of have that experience in different classroom settings. But this, I think, was even like a bigger version of that because now like I'm an American and I'm in Britain. So like, for example, I went my roommates and I, we had a favorite burger spot. It was so good in the Brick Lane area. And as we would eat there over the weeks, we got to know the owners and like it was cool getting to know them. But they would ask us a lot of questions about like where we're from, how we do things in America, different things that we experience in schooling and everything. And it was cool because it really made me think that like these people are living a completely different life than we are here, even though the two nations are so similar in so many different ways that like I really had to reflect on who I was as a person as well and like different experiences that I had. And I think it taught me how to explain as well, just because like, you can't assume that everybody has the same like upbringing or same level of understanding of your life that you do, if that makes sense. Yeah. And also, I would say I think it was really interesting being an African American student in London as well, just because like in our course as well, we were learning about different patterns of immigration, and it was really, really interesting to learn about like the cultural history of how the UK, or I guess London specifically, is now like the global enterprise that it is, and like how it's kind of just like the US, a melting pot of different cultures. Um, but I think growing up here and knowing like the history that goes into being African American, it was just interesting being in the UK where there isn't quite the same equivalent. So that was cool too.
So interesting. Um, all right. So, what advice would you have for your peers who are thinking about doing a global internship program?
Um, I would just say go for it. Like I'm so eternally grateful for this summer and the opportunity. Like especially going into my fourth year, I wasn't quite sure whether I wanted to like stay in the US and do an internship here. But I think having the experience of doing something in a field that I'm really passionate about and getting to do that like somewhere as great as the UK, it was just like I got the experience that I think I would have gotten in the US, but like tenfold, just because like you're in a completely new place that's so historical. You get to meet all these new people from different paths of and walks of life than you're from. And like it was so great. I want to go back so bad. But I would say like also not to get quite so caught up in maybe exactly like what the internship is, just because I was looking like pretty strictly at corporate law before this internship, but now that I had the opportunity to work for a nonprofit and deal with some other issues, now my horizons are expanded. And now, as I'm entering my fourth year and kind of looking at law schools and jobs and everything, now like my options are so much wider because I'm considering so much more. So I would just say like stay open and definitely like if you're even thinking about it, go for it.
Great. Well, this has been really, really helpful, I think, Chloe. So thank you for joining, and thanks for those of you who are watching. We really hope to hear from you and see more about your interests and your applications. So thanks, Chloe.
Thanks. Bye.